Yo, spooky party people, we're back. Leaving off where we left off. It's Friday, May 16th. The next morning after we asked Chieme to go out with us. Also to escape the village where everyone's getting fucking murdered. That seems to be a more important part. We're taking Mako with us also, and anyone else who wants to come. I think that's a good recap if you've been watching. So, also I'm playing with the controller now, so hopefully this is a lot better. God, that's a lot louder than I remember. Oh, my arm. Another morning. Aside from being really hungry, I woke up at the same as always. I hadn't died. Good. We woke up alive. It's better than waking up dead. Although there's an argument of if you can't wake up dead because you don't really wake up, you're just dead. The only real difference this morning was that I could go outside as I pleased. It was still misty out and I couldn't see much beyond the dorm. Did Chieme die? Please, Chieme, don't die. We just asked her out and we're gonna escape with her. I don't want to have to put a piece of her in my pocket and run away out of the village with Mako. A settlement isolated in mist. A space cut away from the world. Could we really leave this place? We could. It had to be physically possible. The idea that we couldn't was just speculation. No matter how much this place defied reality. What was that thing? A Yomibito. Why had Chieme collapsed? How sane were we? Was this even really happening? Human senses and memories often lied to us, though. Just dismissing anything that didn't make sense as an illusion wasn't a good idea. That thing had actually visited us. Its appearance was strange, but I had little proof that it was something supernatural. Looks pretty supernatural to me. Thus, that had to be human. As for the reason Chieme collapsed, there were quite a few possibilities. Also the fact that like your door was closed and locked, and then it appeared, Chieme collapsed, then she woke up, and your door was closed and locked again. Unless it was a trick she schemed with that thing beforehand. That being had to have been too much for her to handle emotionally. I think a lot of people would freak out if that thing showed up in their doorway out of nowhere. What did the thing say again? The wolves cometh to the smell of Yomi, cleanse, shelter, and dream, daughter of Fujiyoshi. Was it? It basically seemed like a fancy way of saying get back to your room and sleep. So it was a warning from those who made the rules. Then was that something on the mountain? Great Lord Shinai's side? No, to be honest. I'd say it was more like something from the other side. I mean, it kind of fit my image of Yomibito. It wore sutras in place of clothing, and the cloth over its face reminded me of a funeral shroud. Was that Taiba? It feels like that could have been Taiba. Because she also had that thing over her face at the beginning of the game. The word corruption seemed particularly fitting. It had a real sinister aura to me anyway. Though, that was strange. Great Lord Shinai was the enemy of the forces from Yomi. Yomibito wouldn't act as his messengers. This contradiction was quite eerie, an alluring unknown. But that didn't matter now. My goal was to let Chieme and any supporters we gathered escape. I returned to the room, made my futon, and started searching again. The futon was the only thing in the closet. There's nothing I could use as a weapon. I gave up, left the room, and went to Chieme's. If the worst had come to pass, I had to fulfill her last request. To take a part of her out of the village with me. The door was locked. I knew it. So the wolf was I knocked. She came out after a few seconds. Apparently, she was already ready to go. I want a weapon. Figured. Oh, she gave me a pretty large knife with a sheath, probably used for hunting. That's surprising. Why didn't she use that before instead of a kitchen knife? I lost my kitchen knife, so you'll have to protect me, all right? Sure. I had zero confidence in pulling it off, but sometimes bravado was important to hold on to. Not in cases of life and death, dude. If you don't think you can do it, don't do it. She seems far more capable than you. She can hunt, she's got knives, she's got a gun, or she can use a gun. We went to Haru-chan's room. It wasn't locked. The room was no bigger than the others, but it was a huge mess. But it didn't look like there was a corpse present. She'd either already woken up and went outside without locking the door, or her corpse was somewhere outside like Yoshitsugu-kun. I'd gained a habit of expecting the worst. What about Yasunaga-kun? The same. Let's check on Meiko. Don't tell me Meiko got killed. Today's mist was denser than usual. Just extending my arm was enough to make my hand hazy and indistinct. I kept on walking, knife in my right hand and Chammy's hand in my left. The settlement was way too quiet. I mean, there's like, what, 5, 6 people left? It's gonna probably be very quiet. We headed for the village plaza. I almost tripped a few times on the field paths, but Chime kept me on my feet with just a few warnings. I could keep going as long as she was with me. We arrived at the plaza. There was no one there. Basically, there was no need to use the dining hall as the go-to gathering spot anymore. Yeah, there's no food and Kaori-san's dead. We passed Rikako Uematsu's house. It didn't look unlocked, but I couldn't hear any indications of movement from inside. Was she asleep? Or did something happen to her? Whatever the case, I had no choice but to ignore her. It was here, right? Yeah. Meiko's place was open? No. Thankfully, all I found inside was just a messy futon. It was the same as Haru-chan's room. But now that it had happened with 3 people, it was safe to assume something wasn't right. Damn it, sorry, but you can have this back. I gave her the knife. I grabbed a stick lying against the house. What's wrong? I need a weapon I can actually use. That aside, where do we go next? I can use a stick, but I don't know how to use a knife. The hall, right? Yeah, I guess so. As it turned out, that was exactly where the other inhabitants were. With the exception of one, anyway. You're late. Or maybe we're early. Haru Makishima. She was in her usual agitated state. Okay, Tai Yamawaki is here. She was silently chanting something to herself. Is it Nasato? Is Nasato not here? He's the only one else that's alive, right? Meiko, Haru-chan had her hands on her shoulders, but she still looked anxious. And finally, good morning, Chiene, and Haruaki Fusashi-san. Yasunaga Oribe was grim. His face was grim. Those were all the people here, meaning that. So they finally got Nasato-san, huh? A simple process of elimination was enough to know who was gone. Anyway, it was time for the first battle. Meiko, come here. Pa. She tried to walk to us. No! But Haru Makishima stopped her. It was time. I raised my stick and... Huh? So you finally reveal your true colors, Fusashi-san. Yasunaga Oribe stood in my way. He had a menacing looking grass sickle in his right hand. He readied it for a swing at me. You are the cause of all this misery here. It's the end, so I knew it would come down to pure strength. No way, huh? What? You were tricked. He's the one who caused all this. Not letting him join the feast was a mistake. If we'd hanged him, Mom, Yoshitsugu, and everyone else would still be alive. Wait, that's... We'll hang him today. That will end everything. Except that there's 2 wolves. Yasunaga, there's 2 wolves. If Haruaki was one of the wolves, you still got another one to kill. Yasunaga-kun, you shouldn't try to advance the situation based on a story no one knows. What about you? Why did you try to attack? Oh, good point. I'll tell you. I want to take back the hostage. But that's... Well, before that, let me just help Chieme-chan understand. Look how confused she is. Huh? What? They didn't say another word. Chieme and Mieko were the only ones who seemed confused at all. Basically, the others had prepared for this. Ignoring who's a wolf here, there's 2 important things you gotta keep in mind. Yet first, yesterday I told Mieko that I wanted to escape the settlement with her. It's best to assume everyone heard that. Escaping the village is taboo, I know that. The question is whether letting someone escape makes you a target of the corruption. That was why you secured Mieko first thing in the morning, and I can totally understand that. The other thing is that Chieme and Yasunaga-kun ended up on opposing sides yesterday. Owing to that, today's feast would be one-on-one between them. Since Haru-chan would almost always take Yasunaga's side, we'd have an advantage. He'd have an advantage. But with Tai-san and Meiko as swing votes, his victory wasn't guaranteed. That's why you decided that reconciling with Chieme and going after the only outsider here was the safest way, right? You're wrong. I'm not. That's why you took Meiko as a hostage. You wanted me silenced. No, I just thought you'd take her as a hostage and ask her to do horrible things. What would I gain from that? I mean, I'm not part of the feast. You agreed to that yourself, didn't you? That was a mistake. If it's not you, then who else could be the cause of everything here? Haru-chan and I lost family. Taiba lost Takumi-san. We all lost people important to us. And who didn't lose anything? Only you, Haruaki Fusaishi-san. Oh, so that was his story, huh? Sorry, Yasunaga-kun, but you're a bad storyteller. You seem to have a habit of putting a wall of well-spoken words when lying or putting on an act. Please stop messing around. Oh, but I'm not. Yasunaga-kun, you're trying way too hard to manipulate people using their emotions. You also underestimate Chieme by thinking you can just use that as a smokescreen for the holes in your story. Well, from an emotional standpoint, blaming me for everything is definitely the easiest way. But on the other hand, you're selling yourself short. You're calm, cool, collected, the type of guy who argues against adult absurdity with facts and logic. Please stop this pointless analysis. Well, that's something for the villagers to decide, not me. They're the ones who watched you for years. Of course, I understand you went through something difficult enough to change you. Then let me ask you this. Are you blaming everything on the outsider because you've lost your own emotions? Or are you actually acting rationally to make sure you hang me and waste today's feast so you can tip the scales in your favor? As in, are you someone who'd benefit from wasting today's lynching? What do you think, Chieme? She gasped and looked at Yasunaga Oribe. There was a suspicion in her eyes, not trust. You could have just said that I was a wolf. Yet you didn't. You just said I'm the cause of all this, because you're a wolf yourself. You hate lying, don't you? Do you know when the chips are down, you have to commit to the lie? Chiene, you're gonna believe him? Making an emotional appeal in the face of cold logic is a bad move here. You need to fight logic with logic until the end. Shut up! What do you know? You just wasted time not doing anything because you couldn't. He had a point there. I did feel like shit about that. I should have joined the feast from the get-go. If I had, I wouldn't have wasted time on pointless arguments and autopsies. However, you know, right here there's a guy who can think for himself, but just played along with some dumb superstition, letting both his brother and mother die. As an adult, I'm really mad at him. Yasunaga-kun. Once I said that, Yasunaga Oribe hung his head and fell silent. 10 seconds of silence were enough for everyone to realize he'd lost the argument. However, the expression on his face was abnormally calm. True, I really am a wolf. He spoke as if it wasn't a big deal, but you are misunderstanding a few things. But that just made it seem even more abnormal. We've already won. Well, yeah, pretty much. He tossed away the grass sickle. His voice wasn't nearly as passionate as before. It was cold and rational. He demonstrated a confidence rooted in sound logic, but I couldn't understand what he meant. Other wolf, please reveal yourself. What was the point of that? Are you sure, Yasukun? Yes, that's enough. I'm the other wolf. I couldn't make sense of this. He had decided to graciously concede by selling out his partner now that he'd been cornered. No, he said he'd already won. Even if there were 2 wolves, there were 4 of us. They'd lose in votes. Yeah, but except my answer came from a completely unexpected direction. There's 4 of them. They hang 1, they lose 1, and there's only 1 person left. Ni-chan? Ni-chan, you and Taiba really are the wolves? A shout of pure, unadulterated joy. Haru Makishima became the least comprehensible of anyone present. She ran to Yasunaga Oribe and hugged him. He hesitated for a moment, but reciprocated. Meiko, still as clueless as ever, slowly walked over to us. Oni-chan? I'm sorry. Hide behind Chiame. Ah. Haruaki-san, what is this? I don't know. I really didn't. But I had a feeling that something wasn't quite right for a while now, and I suspected it'd be made clear now. All 3 of them are wolves, aren't they? I was certain of it. It left me feeling uneasy. Okay, you have the initiative here. Can you explain? Taiba, you do it. Fine. I've been relying on you too much all this time. So she wasn't even denying it. Chi-chan, Meiko-chan. Not me. This is something I never told you. A long time ago, when I was still a girl, Kamafuji Yoshi's people got drunk and revealed the truth behind the feast of the Yomi Purge. The truth? Tai Yamawaki told us a story that was very similar to the legend they told in the strange village. Well, it was less like it was similar, and more like it was looking at it from the opposite angle. The part about Great Lord Shinai sending the 5 guardians to help people was the same. 4 of them teamed up with the humans to murder the wolves. However, in the real story, the good and bad sides were completely reversed. Apparently, the people and the 4 guardians joined Yomi on the very first feast of the Yomi Purge. Basically, all of them were Yomibito. They all ganged up on, overpowered, and expulsed the wolves, who tried to resist until the very end. That meant this land had belonged to the Yomibito for a long time. The wolves were summoned here by none other than Shinai-sama himself. Some people of Yasumizu were given the blessing of the wolves and had to free Yasumizu of its Yomibito. Basically, it was a holy war for them. And that was the truth behind the Feast of the Yomi Purge. Tai Yamawaki continued her explanation. At first, we thought the people of Kamafujiyoshi just made it up to make fun of us. But we found out it was true when we became blessed by Shinai-sama himself. So you see, Chi-chan, that's why we had to slay everyone. It hurt a lot though. Takumi suffered greatly too. But he had to do it to save the Yomibito. That's what Shinai-sama said. Okay, wait, is this the thing they were talking about where they made the wolves, the people who are cursed by the wolves, think that they're doing the right thing? Or is it they actually do the right thing? Tai Yamawaki was crying. Alright. So she was now a confirmed culprit who believed the murders to be salvation. there were just two more points I didn't understand. The corruption and the eerie message. Most things made sense if you switched Shinai-sama's enemies and allies. The idea that people wearing those outfits could be the good guys was kinda weird, but, well, that was the culture here. Or maybe only the Yomibito, me too, saw them as evil. Maybe that was the story here. The problem here was that I didn't know that. Chame didn't know this. I only found out when I was blessed. So even Yasunaga-kun didn't know about it. I remembered some of his words. This is just something I heard from a teacher at school, but you could do it by giving them something to fight for, couldn't you? Basically, you need to make them think they're doing the right thing. Yeah, that was the thing. He really hated lies, didn't he? He basically told me the truth of things. This feast actually had a system that made zealous murderers of people. Whatever, enough about Yasunaga Oribe. Then why did Haru-chan know? She was glad when she realized Yasunaga Oribe was a wolf. Basically, she already knew the real story, that the wolves were the good guys. Why? Who told her? The Okami-sama told me. They showed up in my dreams on the day of Oji-chan died and told me about it. Nonsense. Insanity. Did she seriously decide to throw her life away over a dream? But on the day Oji-chan died, he died the night before Haru-chan tried to run away from the settlement. She believed the dream. She started to despair over being surrounded by Yomibito and planned to escape. That made sense. But I did think that Taiba would know the real story. That there was no way she couldn't. But she didn't say it, so I thought that maybe she was a wolf. And I began to think of the same thing about Ni-chan when we talked. It all clicked. She believed the sudden revelation, despite a lack of proof, and that the man she liked was in the minority that had justice on their side. Except for the fact, wouldn't she be a Yomibito too? And right now, she said she would betray the humans and join the wolves. She believed Yasunaga Oribe was right with all her heart. And so, the wolf Yasunaga Oribe had 3 votes for the feast. I can't be killed, even if Chiene and Meiko both vote for me. Even if you bend the rules and count Fusaishi-san's vote, it'd still be just 3. You couldn't choose one if we did the final vote. And now, without either wolf dying, we win. It was easy. I saw it clearly now. I understood. Haruaki-san. Is he? Yeah, Yasunaga-kun is right. No. We lose. Everyone had different reactions to my words. Chame backed away and gasped. Tai Yamawaki closed her eyes and sighed. Meiko didn't seem to understand anything. Yasunaga Oribe didn't react at all. Haru Makishima was smiling. Oh man. All I really had left was struggling like the filthy, annoying adult I was. Haru-chan. What? Oh, Ni-chan, what will happen to Fusaishi-san? I'll ignore him if he doesn't interfere. I see. Was that relief just now? Sorry, but I couldn't enjoy my sudden jump in popularity. We don't have to slay him? Shinai-sama will do something if we need be. That dispassionate tone didn't do much to convince me he truly believed this ridiculous superstition. But you won't ignore this, will you? Who knows? Honestly, if you're the good guys, I don't know if I should help the Yomibito side. Haruaki-san? You're crueler than I thought. We city folk value a well-reasoned argument. I want to say I misjudged you. It's the right decision. Very right, in fact. Big words. Hey, what the hell? You said you liked Chiene, didn't you? And now you're gonna abandon her? Good point. Well, yeah, I was pretty damn cold-blooded. I'm not too fond of being hit where it hurts, so I guess I'll respond. Haru-chan? What? You know you're gonna die, right? You okay with that? Huh? This was pretty damn bad, honestly. Apparently, this great Lord Shinai was a huge scumbag. He should have told her that much. Even if you've been told the real story, you're still a human. You haven't become a wolf, have you? You didn't kill Takumi-san or Nosato-san, right? I didn't. I don't know why, but you're just a human who knows the real story. That's why the human's defeat will mean your death. You said you thought Yasunaga-kun might have been a wolf when you talked together, right? I don't think he would ever let anything like that slip. So he probably realized your role from the way you were acting. He was probably trying to lead you by showing hints, but not revealing his identity, in order to test whether you join him. The wolves probably knew there was a human who had that role. What of it? He actually said that. This is the part where he was supposed to start lying. By not denying that, you basically admitted that you were an absolute scumbag who used Haru-chan knowing you'd have to kill her. He was that bad at lying? Then how did he survive for so long? Wait, something was very wrong. I seriously misunderstood something here. And soon enough, my hunch was proven right. Seriously? What of it? Haru-chan. Haru Makishima's voice was brimming with joy. A carefree smile laced with seductive intoxication. Yomibito need to be hung. We're corrupt, filthy, and disgusting. We can only be saved by the wolves' whorls and claws. Everyone knows that. That's why you finished off Kaori-san, right? You wanted to make your mother happy. Yeah. Exactly. Ni-chan make me happy too. Haru Makishima coquettishly leaned on him. Okay, so she went insane, fully loves him, and is ready to just die. Got it. Yasunaga Oribe brought her closer without even a flicker of emotion crossing his face. Tai Yamawaki watched them with a broad smile. What the hell? What were these people? So Chiene, what will you do? If you listen to me, I'll save you. I underestimated it. I underestimated the madness of Yasumizu. And I realized too late that the Feast of Yomi Purge wasn't just a system where zealous murderers killed each other. There was something here that completely shattered the people on a fundamental level. It was like a gear of madness. Those who knew the real story found salvation in death. That insane tale instantly convinced people that it was right to agree and to find peace in that. I was actually surrounded by those very people. Understanding that made me remember that she was from here too. Chamie was trying to take a step forward. I should have realized this earlier. She who was afraid of God was just like them, who accepted their salvation. Both brands of madness probably had roots in the exact same thing. So she was just as susceptible to madness as they were. However, it wasn't too late for her. Yasunaga Oribe's expression stayed the same. But right before I looked away from him, I saw a slight change. It was bitterness, irritation, something out of place on the victor's face. That made me realize that his plan for this scene wasn't lost to madness. That I had no choice but to take advantage of the opportunity. I grabbed Chime's hand. I pulled with so much force that she fell on her backside, but I didn't care. I dashed past her and swung my weapon at Yasunaga Oribe. I hit Haru Makishima once, Tai Yamawaki twice. He just started beating the shit out of people. And Yasunaga Oribe 5 or 6 times. Then I ran to Chime and Meiko, who were completely dumbfounded and fled the hall. There was no time to waste. I had to hurry and escape. If I didn't, I'd wasted one chance he'd given me. Haruaki-san, what are you doing? What's going on? Hey, Chieme. What? Yasunaga-kun really had a good head on his shoulders, doesn't he? What are you talking about? My hand hurts, I'll fall. I was probably irritated, not just because of hunger. It was because of the epiphany I'd had, and because it had taken me so long to reach it. Yasunaga Riebe had a different motive. You have a crush on Chieme Serizawa, so you didn't want to hurt her if no one else. So you used what little reason you still had to conclude that the only way to save her was through escape. But letting someone escape was to be subjecting everyone else to the corruption. So you had to have me beat up everyone and take her by force to avoid that. Shit. If he didn't intend to let me run away, he wouldn't have thrown away the sickle. He was basically signaling for me to understand and finally attack him. In the end, he was far more clever than me. I never stopped dancing to his tune. Regardless of, no, exactly because of that, I had to help these two escape no matter what. So okay. The real story's not the real story? Otherwise, why would he let them escape? After all, I'm an adult. By the way, using an adult without relying on one yourself was a very adult thing to do, Yasunaga Oribe. Good luck with the rest. We crossed the field paths, went past the stone graves, and over the boundary. Descending the cliff took a lot of patience. It didn't seem like they were chasing us, so we could go down carefully. Jamie's expression was dead. She'd been hit hard by a sudden revelation. The game board had been flipped on her. She'd lost. And now she had to suddenly say goodbye to her old friends. Actually, most of them are dead, so, I mean, saying goodbye is going to be, was going to happen either way. It was hard to just laugh that off. Should I have told her about Yasunaga-kun's intentions? I did consider it, but couldn't bring myself to. He chose to save her by sacrificing their relationship. If she knew, she'd probably want to go back to the settlement. Or maybe I just didn't want to say it because of my pride as a man. That was fine by me too. Being able to shrug off such unfairness was one of the blessings of adulthood. So I consoled Chieme, shouted to Meiko to be more careful, and generally talked as much as I could. The mist grew even denser. I think they just die. Hey, Chieme. I think we're already outside the village. Maybe. We did it, and look, nothing happened. We did it? Yep, now let's cross the river and return to town. Where's the river? I couldn't see anything. I hadn't just lost my bearings, it was worse than that. I couldn't even see Chieme or Meiko's face. And I was actually holding their hands. We were already at the bottom of the cliff. Walking on the stones below, we heard water, so it was clear we were close to the river. But I didn't know if we could keep going right now. So they're just walking blindly. Let's rest. We can't. Chieme. I thought she was gonna freak out again, but no, that's not it. She stopped me. Don't you hear it? Ignore the water. Confused, I strained my ears. What am I supposed to be here? What am I supposed to hear? Woof woof. They're coming after us. They were acting strange. I shredded my ears again. Was it above us? I could hear the faint sound of rustling leaves from the top of the cliff. We gotta run. I'm tired. Haruaki-san, take Meiko-chan. The intensity of Chieme's voice made me take the situation seriously. Seriously. What if the sound was just the wind, though? Was she jumping at shadows? I wouldn't risk it at this point. We already know there's werewolves, and we gotta run. But I would have been lying if I said I wasn't worried. After all, a question remained unanswered. And according to the legend, this was their headquarters. Wait. They were the good guys, right? Still, this wasn't a normal place. I had to get out of here ASAP. As soon as possible. Okay. Lots of ellipses. After a while, I was forced to recognize the anomaly. We couldn't reach the river. I ran along the riverbed. It should have been small. Just just a few meters wide. But even after 10 minutes of running, there was no sight of the river. We couldn't get anywhere. It was just like Ringwanderung. I don't know what Ringwanderung is. A phenomenon where people wandering snowy peaks lose their sense of direction and just end up walking in circles. However, even if my sight was limited, how could anyone get lost on such a small riverbed? I could hear the stream next to me. This felt wrong. I was as good as blind, all I could trust were my ears, but that just made me realize how useless that was to rely on. I trusted my sense of direction less with every passing second. So, the sound of parting grass in the distance, the sound of claws stepping on the rocks, I felt like they were getting closer. I couldn't be certain. Eventually we slowed down. The others didn't say anything, but they were clearly exhausted. We hadn't eaten for days. Not to mention the dense mist made our clothes all uncomfortably damp and cold. We walked along the riverbed without uttering a single word. The sound of water wasn't getting closer, but something else sure was. Something. Things I didn't know scared me. The chill and the fear strangled me like a garrote as I carried Mako, passed out from exhaustion on my back. How long has it been like this? Suddenly the hand I was dragging became heavier. Shame had stopped. Naruaki-san. She called my name through the mist. What? I tried to sound lighthearted, but I wasn't confident I'd pulled it off. We're done for. Her voice suggested the image of a grim smile. What are you saying? Unlike before, I couldn't match the defiant tone I'd used whenever she said something stupid. It was true that something unnatural was happening, but that there was no simple explanation. And Chieme was wearing down both physically and emotionally. Let's rest a bit. We'll get through this if we just go a bit further, don't worry. No. It's impossible. Why? I think you can't get past this river as long as I'm with you. What? That was like, you heard what they said. We're the Yomibito. So you're not worthy of crossing or something? I mean, I've been eating Asumizu's food since I was a little girl. And I'm corrupted. Jimmy, don't look at me. Oh. I turned around and pulled her by the arm. I looked at her face from point blank range. It was covered in brown and yellow blisters. Before I could even be surprised or disgusted, I just kissed her. The sugary taste of blood, pus, and rust filled my mouth and spread throughout my throat. I didn't care. Then to discard all unnecessary emotions, I hugged her as hard as I could. My breathing and thoughts ceased. I kept it up until the pain began to fade, then disappeared completely. So they are Yomibito, I guess. Eventually our lips were separated again. She prioritized words over breaths. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Even so, I hugged her tight. I couldn't lose to something so ridiculous. She weakly hugged me back, but she couldn't keep it up for long. Let's go. I'm telling you that. Let's go. The presence in the distance was definitely closing in. We walked. I felt like I'd been walking for several hours now. Our pursuers were close now, but I had no intention of rushing. Chieme was slowly but surely getting weaker by the second. Her speed slackened with each step, and weight on my arm was becoming heavier. I could hear her cough and vomit something out. She apologized every time she did, and I basically replied with, "It's all right," using different words every time. We walked. Jamie's feet began to make wet sounds with every step. We walked. She's falling apart, man. Maybe we'd actually been here for only a few minutes. We walked. Jamie kept apologizing. Maybe we haven't even moved a single meter. We walked. Maybe none of this was real. And maybe nothing that happened here would be weird. Eventually, Chiame called out to me with a hoarse voice. Haruaki-san. The fact that she said something different had sparked a moment of baseless hope. And so, thank you. Her gratitude was followed by another wet sound. I had fun. With those final words, her weight vanished. It was strange. After all, I was still holding her hand. Or rather, only her hand. With a splash, her bodily fluids spread around, while her limbs and entrails just collapsed. Chiame was gone, leaving behind only her rotting hand. Perhaps her remains were piling up in the mist ahead. I had a strange certainty I couldn't touch it ever again. Was this what they called a Yomipito? I couldn't accept this no matter what. I don't care what. Take a part of me outside. I put the hand in my jacket pocket. I took Mako, still sleeping, and shifted my grip to make carrying her easier. I continued walking for too long. Mako woke up. She was shocked that Chiame was gone and cried for a bit, but then said she wanted to walk by herself, so I put her down on the ground. The very next moment, she was dragged into the mist. It was clearly a malicious force that did it. That, to me, it looked like a furry arm. A scream resounded. It was an inhuman, animalistic scream. After hesitating for a moment, I turned to run and caught a glimpse of something beastly within the mist Mako had disappeared into. I ran. And ran. Does he make it out? Suddenly I felt myself stepping into something wet. I had arrived at the river. It was meaningless. I'd lost everything. And in the end, only I survived. I don't care what. Take a part of me outside. Was there any meaning in fulfilling that promise? No. The meaning was for me to find. That was why I had to survive and find a forest. Yeah. I still had that hope back then. They finally broke through the mist and showed themselves. Oh, of course. This really was hell, wasn't it? This wasn't the human realm or nirvana. It was the river of hell. So of course both sides of it were going to be hell. There was no splash when we threw Takumi-san's body in, was there? The moment we went into the mist and down the cliff, our bodies vanished from the world and reached a place from which there was no return. And I finally had no choice but to accept it. As someone who had taken in the flesh and blood of a Yomipito, Chiame, I couldn't escape either. That was why I screamed stupidly, only imagining to run a few steps before their sinister claws tore me apart. Damn it. Where had I gone wrong? Descending into Saranaga? Not believing Chiame when she told me we couldn't escape? No. I went back even earlier than that. I already knew the answer. Shit. I really wished I'd been a part of the Yasumizu and participated in the feast of the Yomi Purge. Maybe I could have gotten a different ending than this. Yeah, you could have. But now we need key information to do that. That was the thought that went through my mind before all faded away. Okay, cool. Well, that was most of the game. Well, now we know who... Well, I'm curious. Will it change? How much will it change? And how can we get a different ending? We didn't get any more key information. We should have. Raging loop. They changed the way they spelled loop. Rolls and claws. Obtain key 4, sink into nirvana. You can view it in the key list. The route unlocked by this key is represented by the same number on the scenario chart. Is that it? Is that the only key we've gotten? Ending number 1, watch hint corner. No, we're not going to watch hint corner. Guess it was just a dream, right? Wow. Wait, what? It sent us back to May 11th. I can't remember if that was the first day or not. I closed in on the side of the road and killed the engine. It was steeper than I thought. My bike was on the verge of giving out. Okay, this is the part where we crashed. I'm curious. Where does 4 come in? Oh. Let's go straight there, I guess. Suddenly a rush of memories flitted into my mind. Remember! Right. How did I forget? I already experienced this looping phenomenon or whatever. Hold on, looping? What the hell? There was no way something like that could... But... if that wasn't it, what else could explain this? How else could I, someone who died once, be alive right now? He kind of died like 5 times. I had clear memories of getting caught up in some strange incident at Yasumizu and shit, I couldn't remember how it ended. It was like this last time too. My memories were all fragmented. But I did remember that I went to Yasumizu, met the people there, and died. How I came back here or because I died? That was a ridiculous idea, but the pain and fear I felt back then was just so vivid and fresh in my mind that I couldn't simply dismiss it as just a dream or illusion. There was no point in lying to myself. I was here having experienced something that made me sure I'd died. It was an incomplete memory from the future. I had no idea why I had it, but I definitely did. I had to come to terms with it first and foremost. The gas tank wasn't empty, but my phone couldn't find a signal and was running out of battery, and my throat was a bit dry. Exactly like last time. That meant that I was about to arrive at. I knew it. I really didn't want to meet that employee again, but from what I'd experienced, she was the only one I'd met before going to Fujiyoshi. So avoiding her probably wasn't a great idea. Her attitude was shit, but at least she always did what I asked. Though I really didn't want to drive up in that unpaved road again. Hey! Once again, she greeted her customer in a borderline insane way. It actually made me feel kind of relieved. I wanted to believe that was just some trick of the mind. It was just like before. To her, I was this annoying late night customer. Oh well, I just buy what I wanted. I'll take these. Huh? Why are you getting so much crap? No reason. Yasumizu was just desperately poor and it had me worried. What was her problem? I was a customer. With this much stuff, she had to use the register. Still grumbling, she started scanning the barcodes. Once she was done, I paid and asked, I want to get to the nearest settlement. Do you have a map I could look at? No, we don't. Please, I need it. Just wait. She went through the staff door. Okay, see how she actually goes and gets the menu. Map. Found it. Can we actually see her eyes? This is different. I knew it. There's this store. Go to the north of the crossroads. You'll find an overpass soon enough. Cross it when you come to a fork next to a giant boulder. Turn right and head straight. That's just a forest, isn't it? I knew that it was. There wasn't even a paved road there. Why'd she recommend the road anyway? If I'd crashed and died, it'd be homicide by negligence. There's a settlement. It's just not on the map. That wasn't a lie. It wasn't weird for Yasumizu to not be on the map. It was a nearly abandoned settlement in the middle of nowhere. Why did she know about it? Did she live in Kamafujiyoshi or something? That sounds like it'd be bad for my bike. What about this place? Fujiyoshi? It's a 2-hour drive through a shitty mountain path. Is she... Can I write that down? Is she like really trying to send us to our deaths? Where's the other closest town? Past 2 mountains. Man, I couldn't make any sense of the local distance measurements. I don't recommend going wild around these parts at night. Oh? Actual consideration. Though it was hard to be grateful, she was the one who pointed me in the direction of that shitty road in the first place. Turning back takes courage, too. A lot of them do this one-eyed closed thing. Turning back, huh? I'll think about it. Thank you. Thanks for coming or whatever. Oh, by the way, are there interesting local drinks? I didn't see any in the drink aisle. Well, then we don't have any. I just thought you might have something in the back. Like hell we would. Did you at least check? Just wait. Found it. Seriously? She brought me a 500cc bottle with a black liquid inside. The label looked written by hand and said, Wild Plant Cola. I expected nothing and got something huge. This place was amazing. Oh, sorry, but I got quite a lot of stuff. Do you have a rubber rope I could hang on my bike to hold it all? This ain't a hardware store. I'd be happy if you just looked. Just wait. Found it. Seriously? Well, since we've come this far, I have a list here. Think you can see if you have anything on it? What the hell? You got a death wish or something? Are you saying you'd kill me? Please, I just want you to have a look. Wait here. Thanks. We had it all. What the hell is this place? Okay, wait. Did we just get beat the fuck up? It felt like she was about to kill me, but I successfully came out with pretty much all I needed. So is this like a... Did they have like a miracle back warehouse thing? Then I just made a run for it. What did we have? What did we get? I opened the weird Wild Plant Cola. Looking up at the noisy light trap above, I took a sip. It was cool, intense, and had a strong grassy flavor. But wasn't too bad at all. I expected something totally gross, but it was actually a legit drink. Slightly disappointed, I looked at the ingredients. Cola and plant extract. Hold on. Cola as an ingredient? They just buy a cola and mix it in? And plant extract could be anything from fruits to poisonous plants. What the hell? What was this even safe to drink? Well, at least it tasted good. It was probably smart to just turn around and drive away. Entering Fujiyoshi means death. Turn back. Perhaps that was what the loops were trying to tell me. Maybe I ought to listen. But was it really that easy? I had no real grounds for this, but if the cause of the strange phenomenon was somewhere in that village, perhaps I couldn't break out of the loop until I solved the mystery behind it. What would happen if I left then? Would I go on and live the rest of my days only to die and come back here? Would I return to youth after years of being old? That part didn't sound half bad, actually. But was it really something I could just accept so easily? I mean, he'd kind of have infinite life. All he has to do is keep leaving from the same place and live his life differently each time, and he could experience a bunch of different lifetimes. As if he really didn't care about me and Chieme again. This was just speculation. What if I actually hadn't moved an inch from that mountain pass? Was everything from then, now, until death just an antemortem fever dream? And dying again would just bring me back here? If that was how it was, everything I'd do from my life from this point onward would be meaningless. Maybe I really should move on, only after taking care of what was binding me here. Also, how could I leave something so strange and natural and incomprehensible and just return to the city? What's the normal route? Is the normal route through Crashing? I'm curious about these. Wait. Oh, yeah, infiltration. We're gonna go ahead and save. If the normal route is the one that the journalists take, we won't be an ill omen. I do want to see what happens if we turn back, though. Does he live a life? Until I'd finished my drink, the thing guiding me was my good sense, otherwise known as optimism. No, whatever. Man, what a weird experience that was. It'd make a good campfire story once I made it back to where I belonged. I pushed aside my sense that something wasn't right, my anxiety and my fear, and straddled the seat of my bike. Well, there was another way to look at this. I could try and see whether ignoring it all and running away would actually work. After all, this might end up being the only way to solve the problem. I turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected the clutch. Away I went, starting with a left turn. Anyway, I'd go back up the mountain path. I've had enough of this ride. I'd return to civilization, eat some normal food, get some decent sleep, and live my boring everyday life. Just recognizing how precious those things were was more than enough for me. That made this trip all worth it. A dense mist drifted into view. Oh, it's gonna bring him there anyway. He still crashed and ended up in fucking... Oh, he just crashed and died. No, we're not gonna watch it in quarter. That's cool. Oh, great. Give me the menu. Load me up. I was curious how that would work. I kind of want to do the completionist thing and see all of them. Because I'm pretty sure passing by Fujiyoshi lets you die also. Enter Fujiyoshi through the normal route. Well, we should get these and make sure that we got them all. Okay, he finishes his drink. He could pass it by. I was curious what would happen if I ignored Yasumizu Fujiyoshi, and I think the same thing's just going to happen. After thinking for a moment, I had arrived at a mindset of limiting whatever option seemed wrong. My guess was that this wouldn't take care of the root of the problem. But I was the type who wouldn't believe that until I tried it myself. We already know which one we're going to take. Okay, wait, he went to the left again? Oh, with a right turn. An intense mountain path continued for a while. Though I didn't feel like falling asleep, I was definitely becoming more and more exhausted, both mentally and physically. Even in this jacket, the force of the wind going by was doing a number on my body, especially as I kept onward for over an hour. I did, however, see a sign above my head that said Fujiyoshi. As I decided, I just passed it, never coming close to Kama Fujiyoshi and Yasumizu. Now I just passed the two mountains and reached the town I was told about. And then a dense mountain fog appears again and kills us. Perhaps I should have been more suspicious of the fact that I'd stopped acting on my heart after that. Maybe I was just so tired I couldn't even make such decisions. Okay, dense mist. His brain loses capacity, and he crashes. Alright, that's good to know. We know that either way, he just dies. No. Stop telling me to watch Train Corner. Okay. Just doing completion of things. I knew that we had to go through the normal route. Is it the normal route through Saranaga, though? Or is it through that road through Kama Fujiyoshi? As I finished my drink, I made my decision. I'd return there. I'd faced that tragedy again. Of course, I was curious about this looping phenomenon, but I did recall that I thought during what I thought during my final moments. It was something like, if only I'd handled this better. And for better or worse, this weird looping phenomenon had given me a chance to do just that. If I went about it all a bit better, perhaps I could get a better ending. Hisaka Mamiya, Yudai Hashimoto, Kanzo Makishima, Yoshitsugu Oribe, Takumi Umuro, the old man who cried wolf, Chikamochi Kamoshida, Rikako Uematsu, Kaori Oribe, Kyunosuke Nosato, Meiko. Hell, even Yasunaga Oribe, Tai Yamawaki, and Haru Makishima were just victims of some strange superstition. But I, Haruaki Fusaishi, could not delude myself. I was no hero. I had no powers, no convictions. I was just a dilettante. He's also not mentioning the Wayne person that he's coming back for, I think. My only motivation was a sense of perfectionism. I was annoyed at how many mistakes I'd made the first time around. Plus, there was a certain attraction I felt toward the unknown. It was an urge foundational to my being. And I'd be risking my life on its behalf. I wasn't about to pretend I was acting for the sake of others here. Although, Chiemi Sarazawa. Though she hated her childhood home, it remained part of who she was, and I wanted to keep that from being tarnished with blood. That motive was perverse, forceful, selfish, lustful, and filthy. And I couldn't let myself forget any of that. I remembered the names of those I'd met and what I had to do. So, well, okay. If he went through the road of Kama Fujiyoshi, he had a motorcycle intact, but he wouldn't be able to escape anyway. It would probably just kill him again unless he finally fully solves everything. I turned the key, opened the throttle, pushed the signal to the left, and connected the clutch. Away I went, starting with a right turn. You'll find an overpass soon enough. Cross it when you come to a fork next to a giant boulder. Turn right and head straight. I quickly came across it. I could clearly remember this overpass. Large boulder wasn't new to me either. But I wouldn't take that route this time. I just kept on driving, not lowering my speed for a moment. Full speed ahead. Okay, so he's gonna go the Kama Fujiyoshi roadway. Which is good, means he doesn't have to crash. I drove on a winding mountain path. Strangely enough, my fatigue, though present, wasn't too bad and my head was perfectly clear. Although I guess this way he wouldn't be meeting Chieme either. Not initially, because she found him in Sadanaga. I knew which route to take without even looking at my copy of the map. Or maybe I'd driven through here before. Perhaps this wasn't the first choice I'd made, but one of many. I couldn't be sure, and since my memories were so incomplete, nothing was certain. Still, they'd be an asset in the fight ahead. I wasn't going to this unarmed. I could no longer see the moon. If those memories held true, the rain would begin soon. End of the line. Okay, this is the part where they tell you to, not record anymore. I wonder if it blacks it out. I'm curious about that. I drove in darkness, but I could still make out a sign above me. The road wasn't wide, but I decelerated and somehow managed a U-turn. There were no other cars, so no one could complain. I returned and looked at the sign. It said that driving ahead would have led me to Kachihara, while by turning right, I'd find myself in Fujiyoshi. Finally. It was right past midnight and actually earlier than I thought. A 30-minute drive from this point would lead me to Fujiyoshi, or rather, Kama Fujiyoshi, the place that wasn't too popular among Yasumizu's people. Okay, we have to enter the village. Oh, a house. My time estimate was more or less right. After 30 minutes or so, I began seeing houses between the hills and trees. I eventually left the forest and could see as well as anyone could in the middle of the night. It was already raining and I knew it would only get worse. I had to do something before that happened. There were next to no city lights and not a single house I could see was lit up either. However, unlike Yasumizu, the destitute place where most of the houses had been built from wood, the houses here were modern. The road was well paved too. I could even see some bus stops and vending machines emphasizing that this was modern Japan. Even if they have an inn or something, I doubted they'd accept someone barging in so late. Or some would think there was a way for me at least get a roof over my head. But I knew that was just a city dweller misconception. Same one for the idea that rural folk were nice enough to let me stay if you just asked nicely. That was just pure delusion. In actuality, rural areas were subject to local legends and traditions, with many of the residents believing good, peaceful lives were only possible thanks to their protection. Of course, that wasn't always wrong, but that was also the reason why many rural people were so cold to outsiders. Hell, this was a village so behind the times it still had a settlement for the ostracized, which they discriminated against so badly. This place was probably even more insular than your average rural village. They wouldn't take kindly to an outsider. Like me. I would probably be wary the entire time I stayed there. I could only imagine how strongly they react if some brown-haired man suddenly drove in on a bike and, "Hey, what are you doing? Stop right there. Get off and come with me." Ah, it's the only officer in town. Was I some sort of idiot? Like the city boy I was, I just went in there thinking it'll all just work out. And now I caught the attention of a police officer. Well, I doubted he'd arrest me or anything, but the fact that there was some weirdo who invaded the village in the middle of the night would spread among the people here in less than a day. Now I'd be treated like a criminal if I wanted to talk to anyone here. The officer looked middle-aged, but what stood out about him was the fact that he seemed like the most generic meathead old man from the countryside. He told me to sit down here and wait until he came back. I could only imagine the chewing out I was in for. Still, I was pretty sure that passing Kama Fujiyoshi was one of the main conditions here. I could clearly remember. I had memories of this. Hisako Mamiya and Yudai Hashimoto came here through the normal route, and they weren't considered a problem. They died on the first day of the feast, but that wasn't because they were outsiders. They just violated the feast rules. They either hadn't cleansed themselves, sheltered all alone, or dreamed. My assumption was that before it had all happened, they stayed at an inn in Kama Fujiyoshi. They'd only come to Yasumizu on that day for the sake of an article. Unfortunately for them, the mist came and the landslide happened, making it impossible for them to go back to Kama Fujiyoshi by car. Then everyone started sheltering and no one came to help them. Forget the outsider. Old man Konzo and I'll check the other places. Stop wasting time and go back to yours. Yeah, even Takumi-san had tried to cut me off because I was an outsider. Giving me a way to survive somehow improvised was probably a huge risk for Jimmy. I had to keep that in mind. So we're going to be saving the journalists. They ended up abandoned in the village plaza, clueless about what was happening. What had they done then? They had obviously chosen to spend the night in the van. I had no idea how Hashimoto-shi and Mamiya-san fit in there together, but since they hadn't slept alone, they'd broken the shelter rule. Hell, I wasn't sure if the van was a valid source of shelter to begin with, even if locked. That was probably why Hashimoto-shi's body was found in the van. And since Hisako Mamiya had probably roamed around at night. She'd broken the dream rule. I had no idea why she'd gone outside, but it could have been something simple, such as nature calling or search for a better place to sleep. Of course, as a journalist, she might have smelled a scoop on this ominous village and gone out to gather info. Not to mention, they couldn't have taken a bath in that situation, so they obviously hadn't cleansed themselves. Except for the fact we didn't take a bath, we were only locked in an outhouse, and we didn't sleep either. And so she died at the hands of that thing. Now about what had happened to me. I died once after leaving the outdoor toilet. Dying because I'd gone outside was understandable, but honestly I wasn't sure if that toilet even considered as inside. I bet that it didn't. Actually, it kinda did. And of course, I hadn't bathed or slept, so I broke all the rules. And yet I'd survived. What had made my situation different then? It was whether I'd been found by that thing or not. Upon seeing me, it recognized me as a rule breaker and executed me. But when it hadn't found me, I'd survived despite breaking all the rules. That meant that the sheltering law was simply a method meant to keep the werewolf-like thing from finding you. The time I'd survived, it tried to force its way in, but failed. Nothing had happened to me because I was locked in, but if the lock was broken or something, I'd have been found and killed easily. Basically, you could avoid the monster by just properly locking yourself in somewhere. Meiko was proof of that. She was a lost child who'd come from the hated Saranaga, but she'd survived all the way up to the end without succumbing to the corruption. That meant the important thing was to get a lockable residence in Yasamizu with a bath. I mean, the bath isn't that important because you didn't bathe. And that was exactly why arriving via the normal route was necessary. If I'd come from Saranaga again, most of the inhabitants would treat me with distrust and disgust, driving me away. But if I was a person who'd arrived through Kamafujiyoshi for whatever reason, they'd be willing to accommodate. Meiko was probably only given a place because she was young and because Rokako Uematsu had protected her. I couldn't expect similar treatment. Rokako Uematsu preemptively gave a house to Meiko? To a small child like her? That made it seem like she knew the mist and the feast would come. I'd think more on that later, though. It could be that she'd given her a key right after the mist came. Anyway, if I could be like Meiko and get a proper place to stay in, I'd have the night to participate in the feast of Yomi Purge. I'd be able to listen to the talks myself instead of relying on Chemi, and be able to contribute my own thoughts. I'd also learn much more about the feast. That'd mean a lot considering that some people, especially the elders, wouldn't want to talk about Yasumizu's problems to those outside the feast. A part of me wanted to avoid another tragedy, but part of me that wanted to find out what was behind the mystery was equally strong. So here's the thing I'm curious about. We're going to be going through this again. And I'm guessing the character either isn't going to remember who were the wolves, or it could change. That monster and the thing that allowed me to still be here, this looping phenomenon, were the main mysteries here. Though I did have some questions about the monster. It hadn't found me when I'd locked myself into the toilet. I was probably just curious why it was locked. Couldn't a monster with a wolf head just track me by scent? Another thing I'm curious about is, since there's gonna be like 1 to 3 new participants in the feast, would that mean more possibilities for who gets blessed by like the wolf, by Shinai-sama, and gets to be the wolves? Why did it have asked the job? Its failure to eliminate me only made the inhabitants more suspicious of me. There were no feast laws regarding outsiders. That was why it was best for us to just not be present. Looking at the current laws, those who didn't have a place to stay were outsiders, and they had to be removed because of that. The system worked fine for the most part, but then there was me, a proper breach. If that monster meted out the corruption, It was on the side of the Great Lord Shinai. As such, it should have used some divine powers or whatever to address the problem. Also, it seemed to me like they'd had the power to unlock doors. Man, this was getting confusing. Last time the wolves were Yasunaga, Oribe, and Yamawaki. Okay, so he does remember. According to legend, they had been replaced by wolves who'd come back from the dead, but their story was completely different. They said they were normal people who had wolves as their guardians. That meant that thing couldn't have been Yasunaga-kun or Tai-san. It was more like an agent of the same side, whatever granted them their powers. I had no idea why they were granting the protection of the Guardians, but from what I could tell, Guardians were like fragments of divine power. Okay, so they don't transform into wolves at all. They're still just people with the Guardian power of the wolves. That's why they had to kill Konzo with something blunt and use the rifle on Takumi. And if you were on the same side as the one who granted those powers, couldn't you just use the unlocking power whenever you wanted? Why would a supernatural being make such a careless mistake? Any assumptions made beyond this point would just be grasping at straws and bias my observations. I'd just stop here for now. Anyway, it was imperative I got myself a place to stay. What was I doing here anyway? I've been theorizing about this and that for almost half an hour now, and dawn was almost close. I only had a little over 10 hours until the mist came, and I had to find a secure place to stay within that time. That was hard to begin with, but as things stood, it was outright impossible. Did I have to run away? What if I just ran away to Yasumizu? Said I came from Kamafujiyoshi like it was no big deal and asked them to let me live there. Well, they had enough imagination to suspect me. I definitely needed someone from Kamafujiyoshi to vouch for me. And for that, I had to find something that could turn this around. I looked around the police box, a tiny desk, a rotary phone. This felt like the place of an officer from the mid-20th century. There were wanted posters on the walls. Oh, they'd caught that guy. One of the men even had the look of a criminal. And that one? A serial killer, eh? And it was possible he was lurking in the area, huh? That was pretty freaky. Finally, I heard some noise, the door opened, and the officer returned. Didn't run away? You got guts. I should have ran? What was that? He wasn't one to mess around. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. What's your name? Haruaki Fusaishi? Haru from Sun and Aki from Meiji for Haruaki, and Fusa from Workshop and Ishii from Stone for Fusaishi. Fusaishi. What a weird name. Best not be fake, kid. Rude. You from Tokyo? Yes, I am. It was like anyone weird was from Tokyo to them. Some serious stereotyping there. He was right, though. How old are you? 24? What's your job? I'm a student. College, eh? So you got a good head, but no common sense. I just drove on the road at night. That was so unfair. I wanted to talk back so badly. So why are you here? He lowered his voice a bit. That was the main matter here. And how he treated me would change depending on my answer. What angle did I have to take? Just tell him the truth. Well, we got lost. I went on a bike trip and lost my way. I just told him the truth. There was nothing shady about that, and telling him some cheap lies would only make him suspicious. Really? He put on a threatening tone. I really wish he didn't stare at me like that. What did he expect from me to fall for him? Really, I'd been wandering around the mountains for hours before finding a convenience store. An employee told me about this place. A convenience store? They told you to come here? She hadn't told me to go to Kamafujiyoshi, but she had told me about Yasumizu. I'd just tell the truth until the end. She told me about a settlement in the mountains that's not even on the map. I kindly refused, and then she told me about here. That's strange. Hmm. Is there a settlement like that? Beats me. That was clearly an act. He looked away. Man, this guy was honest. Well, I get it. There's nothing special about you, huh? Yes. I see. Well, you should stop going around at night and disturbing the peace like that. I'd have appreciated an apology for treating me so suspicious, with so much suspicion, but I had more important things to talk about. Anyway, would you mind if I spent the night here and... All right, I'll show you the way to the road. Huh? But I'm so tired. If you can complain, you'll be just fine. My fuel's running low. I'll give you some from my scooter. I don't feel so good? Then you should hurry up and go. Get the fuck out of my town, kid. Is something going on here? Nope. I just don't like you and I want you out of my city. He wasn't even looking into my eyes as he said that. We're getting tossed over to Yasumizu as fast as he could. He got on his scooter and saw me off into the crossroads. Man, what a great guy. I didn't expect him to go this far. Yeah, right. Why the hell did he want me out so badly? Well, at least the rain stopped. This is the only good thing about this. Was this some special time of the year when the presence of outsiders was bad? Was it worth chasing me out even if it seemed unnatural? That seemed like a decent guess, even if the mist hadn't shown up for decades now. If the legends were deeply rooted in local culture, there would still be related traditions alive. Or maybe he was sure something bad was going to happen. Or was he on the side that it'd make it happen? Did they have a means to create such a dense mist? Mist happened when the air cooled and the water vapor in the air couldn't stay gaseous. It was basically small water droplets. The mechanism by which they worked could easily be replicated in a lab. They even did it on educational TV. Though I found it hard to believe they could reproduce a scale vast enough to hide an entire settlement. They'd need some device that'd no doubt be large and heavy. It'd have to be in the Saranaga Rapids of all places. I think this is just an unnatural mist. I don't think they created it. Though I'd only been to Saranaga when I couldn't see anything. Either because it was at night or misty. If the mist was made by some huge machine put there by Kama Fujiyoshi people, I'd be really pissed, to say the least. I don't think they can make an unnatural fog where werewolves appear and you get lost about a meter from a river, which is about 3 feet. The Takumi-san did say he had to pick up corpses from Saranaga. Even if it was forbidding ground, it wasn't likely they could just install a device like that without anyone noticing. That was how it was in some novel, wasn't it? The corpse was there to begin with, but they just couldn't perceive it. I'd have liked to believe in something a tad more realistic. But it's not. In the end, I had to keep going toward the area called Kachihara. Maybe I'd get to rest there. If I returned the next day, the cop would surely snap at me. Would I even go back? The fatigue was getting the better of me. I knew it was a good idea to stop, but no, I actually didn't know it. I wasn't able to think straight. Mist? Now? Was it artificial? No, that didn't make sense. My mind was hazy and I could no longer make sense of anything. You're gonna go to I can't even remember the name of the city now. Oh, we still crash? We still got me Chami, I guess. Oh, nice, officer. You can view it in the key list. The route unlocked by this key. Okay, cool. Oh, we got a game over. Great. I didn't have a choice there. It brings us back to May 11th each time. We're gonna go right to the chart because I know that key. We can use it there. We can use it there. Any other times we can use it? No. What happens if we use it here? I don't know how to fully skip. I'm curious about this. Oh, we need all the keys. Interesting. So, okay. There's only one place we can do this. But we need key 6. I wonder if we can do it here. Or if it's still... You know, I had an idea. So we have to lie? That was a long, long way to go to get killed for telling the truth. Well, what? Say it. I heard that the girl I dedicated my heart to lived somewhere around here. So I came looking for her. There. He acted like he didn't care, but he was definitely interested. Here in human society, love stories are a supreme form of entertainment and a good excuse for doing all sorts of weird things. Anything was possible when a girl or guy was involved. Well, you say that, but no one here actually went to Tokyo. We met elsewhere. Oh? When I went to Kadoyazawa to recover from the after effects of the bird flu. He's just going deeper and deeper in this fucking lie. And so I wove him a dramatically majestic story of how I'd grown close to a woman I dedicated my life to. The cop was really into it. He looked like he didn't care at first, but by the time he got to the part where she first invited me to her house, he displayed a childlike enthusiasm. Eventually, we became lovers. Him and the girl. Him and the girl, not the cop. He didn't become lovers with the cop. But she said she couldn't throw away her childhood home, which led her to a tearful goodbye. At that point, the cop was fully invested in the girl returning back home. So you threw away the city and came after her, eh? He smiled like he was about to pat me. I definitely captured his heart. But was there a girl like that here? What's your fiance's name? There it was. Everyone in rural areas knew each other, so trying to make up a person wouldn't get anywhere. But that wasn't a problem for me. I had the perfect name in mind. Chieme Serizawa. I knew it. Get out. Huh? Get out right now. He stood up and approached me so menacingly, I felt he was about to attack me. Because she's not from here. In the end, he jumped on a scooter and led me across roads, clearly intent to get me as far away from Fujiyoshi as possible. I was now heading toward the so-called Kachihara area. The brain had already stopped, but it was tiring to drive along. Wait, do we just get to the same death ending? I knew Chiemi and Fujiyoshi were distant, to say the least, and since she'd been out of the village, they couldn't have known what she'd been up to. I thought that'd make my story more believable, but what the hell was that reaction? The thing that had set him off was Chiemi's name. She told me she almost killed someone with a bat. Was her reputation that bad? Even if it was that the right reaction to make? You'd expect something like, I really think you shouldn't, and the like. Was it because she was from Yasumizu? That'd make sense if they didn't want outsiders to know about Yasumizu. It'd make sense for them to chase away anyone coming to meet her. But that only made them look more suspicious. Anyway, what now? Maybe I'd try coming back after getting some rest at the nearest town. The nearest town is Yasumizu. But from what I could tell, entering Yasumizu from Kama Fujiyoshi wouldn't be as easy as I first thought. The fatigue was getting the better of me. I knew it was a good idea to stop, but okay. This is the same mist thing. Do we still crash? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna keep dying, basically, until we get all the keys that we need for certain moments. Interesting. However, it is getting late. I do want to play more of this. I'm curious about the different chapters we can get through and the different choices we can make. I don't like that it keeps sending us right back to here. But it makes sense because that's the start. After I do this choice, am I going to just get key 7 to continue on to the village? Okay, I kind of want to see this first. So while you're here, he lowered his voice a bit. Snap. What does that mean? What's it to you, huh? Huh? This is Japan. We're free to go wherever. I can be wherever I want, whenever I want, damn it. The hell's up with you? I'm tired of dying, damn it. I know I come back, but dying really hurts. You damn punk. I know this route's a dead end too. What next then? You want me to dance naked? Some taste you got there, God? I dare you to do it, you shit. Just shut up and let me stay here. Then let me go to Yasumizu and make it look normal. Whoa. Nah, he went crazy. What the hell? Hello? Hello? Alright, I'll shoot him. We just get shot now. God. Okay. That's not what I expected. So coming to Kama Fujiyoshi is just a bad idea altogether. Yeah, end of the line. Past minute, but actually earlier than I thought. 30-minute drive from this point would lead me to Fujiyoshi, or rather, Kama Fujiyoshi. The place that wasn't too pop. Okay, we've done that. Drink booze from convenience store. Don't drink and drive. Drinking and driving's bad. I stopped my bike. I flipped out the kickstand and locked it in place. After opening the toolbox under my seat, I hid my license ID and business card. Anything related to me basically inside it. Kama Fujiyoshi was just ahead. Oh. If I came in like that, the officer would surely catch me and then chase me away. So he wants to be locked in jail overnight. That's why we're drinking. At least that's what I think. That's the most likely scenario to me and for why he would go and drink booze. I had to find another way to convince the old man to let me stay. Yeah. He's basically gonna make himself get tossed in a drunk tank so he sobers up until the morning. I reached in the bag of stuff I bought from the convenience store and took out something. It was a cup of refined sake. I quickly gulped it down. Ah, it's so bad. Cheap or not, just chugging sake like that was plain disrespectful. No trying this at home, kids. Not that kids could drink this anyway. Unfortunately, my life and fate and whatever were on the line here. Next cup. Oh, he's just gonna get drunk. He's getting white girl drunk. Huh? Oh, he's drunk as off his ass. The hell are you? Drunk? Never seen you here before. Yep. Whoa, you reek. Where are you from? Why are you out so late? Yep. All right. Just come with me. Yeah, I realize this. This man always. Let me go as long as our good driving. Then it was best to just not talk at all. Come all drunk. Wow. Shut up, dumbass. You're disturbing the neighbors. Okay. So yeah, he gets tossed in the drunk tank so he can drive the next day. We've made it to a new day. And that is actually a pretty good place to stop it. Now that we know how he infiltrated. Very interesting. Very interesting. Kind of want to see how this route looks. Yeah, drunken sleepover. Anyway, thank you for coming by, hanging out, checking out the stream. I know I say that every time, but I am thankful. Y'all have a good night. I'm gonna stream more of this game or something else because I do see another game I do want to stream soon. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Take care, and I'll see y'all next time. Later.